Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Panda Wrestling Company and TGN Networks proudly brings to you the most slept on podcast in the world. Super Bro Jason Hoover, Super Beard Vincent Hoover, Wrestling with Toxicity. Oh shit, I'm lightheaded. Woo!
Every
Fun
time,
times.
bro.
Woo! Keep pushing it, trying to see how far I can go from see maybe I can make myself pass out on air.
You know that now that I've stopped smoking, I actually might be able to do it longer.
I have no idea.
Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Toxicity. I am, of course, your host, Super Beer and Hoover, joined once again by my brother, Super Bro Jason Hoover.
What up?
We are here to talk about all things wrestling on a positive note. Try to bring light to everything, and boy, did we have an amazing weekend for that.
Ooh,
Now, before we get started, I want to thank the sponsor of the Panda Wrestling Company, Rootless Coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, go to rootlesscoffee.com for some of the best coffee on the planet, and you can get a wonderful discount if you use the code PANDACOFFEE. It's PANDACOFFE, all one word. You will get 15% off all non-branded coffees and all merchandise. Rootlesscoffee.com. Use the code PANDACOFFEE for 15% off all non-branded coffee and all merchandise. Now, on to the show. So, this past weekend was Extreme Rules. It was the first truly all Triple H pay-per-view. We talked about this last week. Clash of the Castle was still wrapping up storylines from when Vince was there. This was the first one that was completely built solely on the shoulders of Triple H, and boy, did it not disappoint. And of course, goes without saying, we had the huge return of Bray Wyatt to the WWE.
Yeah.
The White Rabbit promos that we all, kind of slapped us in the face. We all knew it was going to be Bray, but there was that chance it wasn't. But sure enough, it was definitely Bray, and he got one of the greatest return pops in the history of sports entertainment, period.
I would say, honestly, top 3, period.
Yeah. For me, it's top 3. Easily. Cody's was huge.
Yeah.
Edge was insanely massive at the Royal Rumble.
Yep. Cena Royal Rumble was huge too.
Yeah, the Cena one at Madison Square Garden. Of course, the origin of the term Road Warrior pops, the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
But I think that this definitely falls under top 3, and it's mainly because when it comes to Cody was a huge one, obviously, because nobody realized that he was going to WWE. There was rumors and speculation, but he, was part of the competition. Him coming back, that was massive. Edge, nobody expected to return
ever
because of that injury, because he was forced to retire.
Yeah.
But Bray was just fired. And at the top of his game, fired. Even though he was booked poorly, treated poorly, really shitty booking, was still at the top of his game, still the number one merch seller, and then just unceremoniously let go in a group of firings.
And honestly, we all hear the rumors about, Vince was he was hard to work with and he was difficult and stuff like that. I have come to realize that translates to Vince wanted to do this that would have damaged the character. Bray was not happy with it and refused to let it happen.
Well, I don't. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But at the same time, listening to Triple H talk about Wyatt and listening to a lot of other things, I get that he probably is a little bit difficult to work with. Creative geniuses tend to be controlling.
Yeah, well, right, because
I get it.
And as we're both creative geniuses, we both have these stories we want to tell, stuff like that, through different formats. And which, when we hear other people suggesting things, even a suggestion, we're but that's not how I see it.
Yeah, and your first instinct is to get defensive,
right?
And
so
somebody on Bray Wyatt's level, that's obviously going to be dialed up to 11, and then you have somebody going against somebody like Vince, who is, let's face it, a creative genius,
Mm-hmm.
albeit stuck in his ways and stuck in the past.
Yep.
Still a creative genius.
Mm-hmm.
That's too, like, the unstoppable force against the immovable object, and so of course they came basically, to blows metaphorically.
Yeah.
And so I get it, but like he's been gone for over a year now,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of off the radar with except for little minor hints and things.
Right.
And like with Cody's, it was 47 days. So he just kind of went radio silent 47 days, but that's just 47 days. You know, uh, Edge, it was 9 years, but he was never radio silent. He's always
No,
around in some capacity.
he had the podcast with Christian, which I
Yeah.
listened to religiously. He was on Vikings, and he was on that TV one sci-fi. I can't remember. Haven, love that show. And so he was still in the spotlight.
Yeah, and he did a couple appearances. He would do signings. He was around. Bray Wyatt, right after getting let go. Jaxpo, welcome. Thanks for popping in. We're doing good. Doing good. Bray Wyatt, besides the cryptic tweet here and there, was gone. You didn't even see like paparazzi style photos of him, like snuck of him. Like he stayed gone.
Yeah. As somebody said on one of the podcasts I listened to, he's pulled a Sandman.
I mean, Sandman disappears because he gets into drunken fits at home and can't leave his house.
No, I'm talking about the Raven Sandman storyline where Sandman was beat up so bad and hung
Oh,
from.
okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was thinking like, no, that guy does
No.
a lot of
No.
signings. He's just drunk. Yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, he kept off the radar completely. But part of what helped with this is this new hire that WWE did was their now hired a director of long-term creative.
Yep.
And Ralph Fine, and Ralph Fiend, not Fiend. Is it Fiend or Fiend? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Because a lot of people are just calling him Ralph Fiend now, or Ryan. Yeah. Is it Ryan? God damn it!
Come on, bro.
I'm not gonna look it up. Now I'm confusing myself.
You really are, and when you're confused, I'm confused.
Rob Fee. There.
Okay.
Name is Rob Fee. Now, what's significant about Rob Fee is that he has worked with Bray for a long time. He's also worked for Marvel Comics for a long time, done a lot of stuff. He's worked on a number of television shows. He's also written for Disney. He also, right before he got Bray Wyatt got laid off, he pitched a Fiend horror film that was so well received that they were going to greenlight it as a WWE film, but they were worried that they wouldn't be able to do it justice because it was so good. And then, of course, Bray gets fired, so the whole thing got scrapped.
Speaking of which, I wonder if they're actually going to bring that back now, or if that whole thing is completely scrapped because of the change of character.
Possibly. I think they might scrap it only because I feel like now the character has moved into a whole new direction, but there's still a way to do something with him. The problem is obviously WWE films aren't exactly high budget, high quality films, right?
Right. I mean, we've got what, Marine 19 coming out soon?
Yeah, like Marine 42. I don't know.
Whatever. But
at this point, I don't even know how Miz films them. That tells you the budget of these films because it seems like he films them like on his day off. He just goes out and like shoots a bunch of scenes and they, one take and wrap. And nothing against the Miz, they're not great films. But
lunch break cinema.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's return is huge, and we'll dive deeper into that. But of course, that happened at the end of the show. However, the pay-per-view up to this was phenomenal.
I gave the pay-per-view as a whole a 7 out of 10.
I gave it an 8.5. There was only one match to me that didn't really work, and we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll go in order of matches. But But all in all, I thought it was a fantastic pay per view. We got our first look at the new our premium live event commentary team of Michael Cole and Corey Graves.
And
It's I was gonna say, like, between this and Monday Night Raw, I'm gonna say that it looks like Corey Graves might have dialed back a bit on the trying to be Bobby the Brain Heenan style. Like, he's still kind of heelish, but
it reminds me of his old FCW days on commentary right after he got told he can't wrestle anymore.
yeah, it was very much more like he even like didn't agree with everything that a heel did. He kept
Yeah.
pushing. He like especially you saw it a lot during the Bobby Lashley Seth Rollins US title match on Monday Night Raw, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
While he was still like, oh, Seth Rollins is great, like he was still hyping up Bobby Lashley the whole time. It was more like how Pat McAfee did things.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and this especially helps not being on a 3-man commentary team.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you had on a 3-man team, you had Byron Saxon being the ultra good guy commentator, Jimmy Smith being the down the middle guy, Corey Graves being the uber heel commentator, and it didn't really work. And the only time that an uber heel commentator works on a 2-man team was Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, because those guys knew how to play off each other so well. So I think that Corey has dialed it back, and that's appreciated. And I think him and Michael Cole doing the pay-per-views is or premium live events, I'm going to keep doing that, is very smart. It gives you one from SmackDown, one from Raw, technically, but it shows that things are still kind of blended. It also gives them the ability to call matches they wouldn't normally call. So that was great. I thought the commentary was a step up. I mean, I still would prefer to see Pat McAfee there, but I get it. And so it is what it is. And he'll be back.
He will be.
So our very first match was the good old Donnybrook match between the Brawling Brutes and Imperium. And the balls on Triple H to put that first and make everybody follow that was insane.
Well, something that Paul Heyman said about Brock Lesnar is either your first or your last. And that's the only two places I could have seen this match going on was first or last. And if it wasn't first, I thought it was going to be Seth and Riddle.
I could have seen. Well, I knew, like, on the kickoff show, they pretty much clarified that the fight pit was going to be the main event. And that made sense to me because the fact you had to take the ropes down and do all that stuff, I got that. Like, usually steel cage matches end up at the end anyways, but in this particular case, it's a much more, like, we got to take the ropes down. You know, that's why normally we have those covers over the pillars, the square covers with the logos on them, and that wasn't there. They were just the metal poles because it was all part of that.
Yep.
You could have put the Donnybrook match in the middle as more of like to rehype the crowd up.
And who goes first?
Probably would have put Liv and Ronda Rousey first, because maybe the crowd would have responded a little bit better to that match than they did. That had to follow that, and that was doomed to fail from the get-go. And we'll talk about that match in a bit.
Because that's the next match anyways. But
yeah, exactly.
Let's do this match.
Yeah.
I gave this match an 8 out of 10. Love the fact that it opened up the pay-per-view. Great spots all over the place. Pete Dunne showing that he still has what it takes. Sheamus showing that he can take a beating. Like him and Walter, Sheamus changes color. He goes from pale white to pink, like in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, no, for me, to me, it's a 5-star match. I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever. I enjoyed every second of it.
There were a few spots where I was like, okay, they need to get on the same page, but it was one of those.
I also, for me, from a storytelling standpoint, there are times when I don't want everybody to be on the same page at all times because it is a Donnybrook match. And what is a Donnybrook but a bar fight?
Right.
An Irish bar fight. And when is a bar fight ever choreographed and perfect? Never. And that's one of the things, like when I see a movie and I see a bar fight and it's so choreographed and perfect, it takes me out of it a little bit because like it should be a scrap. It should be crazy. It should be, things not going exactly as you plan it to be. So for me, that actually helps the story along in that match because these guys are just aggressive they're all aggressive. They're all going 1,000 miles an hour. They're all really wanting to fight each other. And so when things don't exactly get on the same page, to me, that actually says, like, look how, like, they're just going at it. It's not a wrestling fight. It's not a wrestling match. It's a fight. It is a downright bar brawl. And it was great. And so for me, I didn't have any issues with it. I thought it was fantastic.
There was just a couple spots where I'm like, okay, that looked really, really dangerous, and
Oh, yeah.
that was the only things. Like I completely agree with your statement and stuff like that. There was just a few spots where like that looked like if he would have twisted just a little bit more one way or another, major damage could have happened.
But that also shows the control these guys have over their own bodies as well as being professionals. Now I know that um, Rich Holland, people want to like jump on him after what happened with Big E, but as somebody who has been in the ring and has done these kind of things, and Big E has even said it, it's kind of more on him. Yes, Rich Holland didn't pop his hips enough, did not give enough thrust, but Big E did not rotate.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't jump enough. He didn't rotate. That move, a belly to belly like that, is 90% on the guy taking it.
Yeah.
And Biggie, has begged people to stop going after Rich Holland, begged Rich Holland to stop beating himself up, because he understands that was on me. He's taken that spot from guys like Drew McIntyre and whatnot, but they're bigger guys, and for some reason in his mind, Rich Holland being his height, he felt he didn't have to jump as much, whatever. Rich Holland has proven, and yes, Rich Holland's green, I get it. But he has proven over the last few months that he has grown exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
He is a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's being more careful. And so a lot of these spots that looked like, oh, that could have went so poorly, it's just these guys throwing their bodies around. You want to look at a spot that like scared the crap out of me, would have been Friday night with Ricochet and Solo, where he went to springboard in and Solo punched him, and he landed neck first on the apron. But that was something that Ricochet does all the time. He has control over his body. He knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, to me, I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like that to me was scarier than anything that happened in the Donnybrook match. So like for me, like, but here's the thing. You even thinking that is them doing their job.
Right.
And that's what I love.
I mean, how much experience I've got in the ring. Mm-hmm. Next to none.
Yeah, exactly.
But I still have experience in the ring, and I know I've taken some bumps. Something I remember me and you back in the days over in Hillsboro, with the farmer and Xavier and Peter, stuff like that, and Chad doing bumps and stuff like that on flat dirt ground.
Yeah.
So I know kinda where more. But yeah, it was a great match. I absolutely loved it. And I couldn't give it a 10 because there was just something about it, especially the whole Sheamus being buried by the bar thing. There was something about that just threw me off a little, and I don't know what it was. It just threw me off.
I don't know. It might have been because subconsciously you might have taken it as it was a dig at his old tag team with Cesaro, maybe.
Yeah,
but like for me, so the only issue I had with the match was that I knew who was winning the match before it even started.
Yeah.
Simply because Sheamus did not get his Intercontinental title win. So he lost to Gunther at Clash of the Castle. He lost to Gunther on Friday night. Of course, the Brawling Brutes are getting the win against Imperium at night. That was my only issue with the match, was that because that's one of my issues I have with AEW is that AEW, every pay-per-view, my prediction card is 100%. Every time.
It's not hard.
And I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
I like it when I don't know. And WWE got that way for a while too, where I could predict pretty much 100% of the matches. Now I feel like I'm not getting that anymore. Mm-mm. And I think AEW might be realizing that. Hopefully, all they got to look. I understand it's like, oh, they're competition. We want to be the alternative, but you can still like see what they're doing. They've been doing it for 40 plus years. Take the best of what they're doing, leave out the worst of what they're doing, and integrate it into what you're doing to elevate yourself to be better.
In In AEW's defense, though, however, with the removal of Vince McMahon and the addition of Triple H in the position that he's in, what was is not.
True, but you can still do that.
Yeah.
And because that's exactly what Triple H is doing. He's
Oh,
taking the
yeah.
best of what worked for 40 years. He's
Mhm.
eliminating the shit that didn't work.
Agreed.
So if Triple H can do it in just a couple months and already improve the product tenfold, there you
Agreed.
go. There's your blueprint. But yes, I to me this match again, banger after banger. It's not just a catchphrase. I want that on a shirt. I want that shirt, and I want it
Yes.
to just say that like just countless times. But like when he tweeted out 5-star banger after 5-star banger, I was like, yes,
Yes.
like legit to me, 5-star match. And if anybody's played WWE 2K22, you know that you bookend your show with your bigger matches, and then you curve in.
Mhm.
You want kind of a wave. But I could have seen this match going in the middle as kind of almost a refresher. Um, because the downside is like again you had to everybody had to follow that, and what followed immediately after didn't work.
Agreed. But to a point, because it's like, okay, we had this really exciting match. Let's go ahead and put something in to give people a chance to catch the breath, to relax, go to the bathroom, something like that, which is a shit.
Extreme rules matches are not how you catch your breath.
Right. Agreed.
Also, my
But
issue with this match, and I'm gonna say it flat out: love Ronda Rousey, I love Liv Morgan. I think they're both great at what they do. Neither one of them, like together, they don't have chemistry.
mm-mm.
It's just something like, and that happens. There are plenty of wrestlers out there that are some of the greatest in the world, but for some reason they can't work with another greatest of the world because they don't have chemistry together. Whereas you see people who like are mid card at best, but the two of them together can go out and have banger after banger because they just have amazing chemistry.
Mm-hmm. I think a
Liv,
good example of not having chemistry was Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle. Yeah, they had put off good matches, stuff like that, but in ring chemistry really wasn't that good.
not at first, but they actually had some really good matches.
Agreed.
Their chemistry came along a little bit later. Kurt Angle actually talked about that
Mm-hmm.
in an interview. Yeah, exactly. The ending of that match was weird.
The
Jaxpo
last,
says.
yeah, the last 5 minutes of that match to me ruined the whole thing. Like it looked to me
I
like Ronda couldn't get things set up right. Liv
well,
couldn't get herself in position properly.
so here is the difference between the Donnybrook match and this match.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Donnybrook match, when things didn't seem to go as smoothly as you thought they should have gone, it made sense. Here,
Right.
it seriously hurt the product. Like her picking Ronda up while she had him in the armbar and trying to slam her through the side of the table, it did nothing. There were several moves where just like they weren't on the same page. There was no chemistry.
Right. Agreed.
Imperium and the Brawling Brutes have chemistry. That's why even when things don't look exactly right, it still works versus this. Now the ending of that match was weird,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the whole build up to get to that ending is meant to lead to somewhere else. We'll get to that with the White Rabbit and the Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you saw the WWE exclusive on YouTube, she was brooding in a corner, but the fact that she was smiling as she passed out, this whole thing, like Liv Morgan was supposed to be in the spot that Alexa Bliss got.
Yes.
The original plan was for Liv Morgan to be in that spot.
Yes.
So is it going to be Liv Morgan now going to the Wyatt Six? We don't know. Regardless, that whole match, it just did like it's just because those two didn't have chemistry. I'm okay with an Extreme Rules match not necessarily going super extreme.
Oh no, yeah, that's
Like I'm
fine.
okay with that part of it, but like, and credit to Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they did their best to call it and make it feel extreme. They did everything they could, but like, there's again, it all boils down for me to chemistry. There was just no chemistry between Ronda and and
Live.
Liv, and people have tried to use like this match and the other match they had to be like, see, Ronda's not that good. See, Liv's not that good. No, Ronda has put on incredible matches in her short time with some of the best, and even with some people who aren't the best, but he has chemistry with other people. Liv has also put on great matches with other people. Sometimes two people just don't click.
Right.
Happens.
I would like to see Ronda and Shayna Baszler have a match immediately. I think
I don't
that'll
want it immediately. I don't want it immediately. I want them to build Shayna Baszler organically like they did Sheamus into a face. A dominant, brawling face.
hmm
Somebody like Sheamus
Okay.
or a Bobby Lashley. Make her a badass, but a badass the crowd can get behind, which they've already started to do. They love her.
hmm
They want to see her more. The fact that they've already kind of teased it where she came out and said, hey, you can't do that. Like when she was attacking security guards. And then Ronda's like, you've changed, you changed. They've planted the seeds for it.
Agreed.
I want that build up to at least a Royal Rumble. Give me to the Royal Rumble. Let Ronda have a run for a while. Let her be a bigger heel. Let her just keep on going. Build Shayna organically.
hmm
Again, just like they did Sheamus. Just let the crowd love Shayna. And then, boom. Get at the Royal Rumble. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have Ronda cheat to win at the Royal Rumble. You have
Right.
Shayna pull a Brock Lesnar, enter herself in the Royal Rumble, win the Royal Rumble, chase her to WrestleMania. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania is one hell of a match.
Oh,
Now,
agreed.
that
Agreed.
being said, we did get a promo for Charlotte Flair during Extreme Rules. It was a video package for Charlotte Flair.
I
So I
saw that.
have a feeling she might be coming back.
Well,
My fear is they're going to do another Ronda versus Charlotte, and I don't want that.
I also watched the Steve Austin podcast on the WWE Network,
Yeah.
and Charlotte. I think she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to be in WWE anymore. That's why she's still on the shelf with Andrade in AEW.
Well, he doesn't want to be in AEW anymore, so
We'll see what happens.
I think
But
he's going to end up sitting out his contract.
I
Like,
would
I don't. I think he'd rather sit out his contract than deal with it.
honestly, if I
Uh,
was Tony Khan in this situation, I would tell Andrade, look, go ahead and go. We're done. If you're going to be wasting my money, go ahead and get out of here.
But I get why he's not doing it. I'll
I
explain why.
I agree too.
Because it sets the precedent that anybody can do, and he's already got people trying to do it. So he's just like he's got to like put the foot down somewhere.
I would
So I
see
get it.
right as I would also see the okay. Well, you've got this much time left in your contract. Well, here's the price it's going to cost you to buy yourself out of your contract. Then, if you're willing to put up that money, here you go.
I mean, that is something that could be done too, but it still sets a precedent that I can just buy myself out when I'm tired of it. But the issue is not that like Tony Khan has to put his foot down, but Tony Khan also needs to stick to his word because a lot of these guys were promised one thing
And haven't gotten it.
and haven't gotten it because other people come in and take that spot.
Yep.
So
And I think it's once again back to what we keep talking about with AEW. You've got four of the world's best bookers. Use them.
also just like and he's talked recently about how they're trying to get more TV time and that will help with the situation and maybe it will.
Maybe.
It should. Because right now you don't have enough time, but the problem is too the time you do have is still dominated by the same faces. You're not
Mhm.
spreading anybody else like it's just not working out. So
Anyways,
regardless, I don't
I
I
gave
don't want
Liv,
to yeah, go ahead. What'd you give it?
I gave Liv and Ronda 4 out of 10. It was
Yeah,
a bad match. It was
exactly.
a bad match.
I agree. There's just no chemistry. It just
That's
comes down to chemistry.
right. That's why it was a bad match. It wasn't a bad match because they didn't do good moves and stuff like that, except for the effing baseball bat.
Yeah,
That
baseball bats
base
are hard.
like
I don't understand why they brought it in
could
because
have
they're
done the
hard
same
to work with.
right. You could have done the same exact thing with the kendo stick that had all the frills and stuff like that on it.
Yeah. Also, the a kendo stick, you're not as worried about swinging it as you are swinging that bat.
Right.
And you could tell that Ronda was trying to like pull the bat, and it showed.
hmm
And so again, I don't understand why the bat was brought in. It didn't. It was added to the story kind of last minute, and it became like a figure of the story. And I'm like, I didn't get it.
To me, it almost made Liv look like a Harley Quinn wannabe.
I think that's what it was, and I think it was inspired by that, and I just didn't get it. And I don't even understand how the bat became a Harley Quinn thing. how all of a sudden she went from the mallet to the bat in Suicide Squad. Like, I understand the mallet's oversized and it's ridiculous, but
Right.
the bat was just weird. So the bat in this match was a weird choice. There's a lot of weird choices. Like, I also think that part of it is maybe how, and this might be where chemistry comes in. Some wrestlers prep for matches one way, they walk through the entire thing.
Mhm.
Others call it on the fly. Some are in between. I don't know how either one of them work. I don't know them. But it felt like the problem when you call an entire match when you plan out an entire match pre-match,
Mhm.
when one thing goes wrong, it creates a domino effect, and I think that's what happened here. It felt like the entire thing was planned out, so they were still trying to hit spots, but when something went wrong, they weren't able to adapt. And I think that's part of chemistry. Again, like the two of them, and this is like, again, I hate harking back to video games so much, but WWE 2K22, you don't put people with the same stuff. You don't put bruiser versus bruiser. You have to put bruiser versus fighter, cruiserweight versus giant, etc., etc. They tell you, like, don't put the same fighting style because people get bored with that.
Mhm.
Same goes, I think, when it comes to planning matches. You need to have people who are flexible. If you're both, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, but if you're both playing the entire match out pre-match, you both also have to be able to adapt. But Liv Morgan, yeah, she's been in this business for 8 years, but still has not had her singles run is kind of about as long as Ronda's.
About
So
yeah.
as far as singles, so you put one of them with a vet. And something like Ronda's had banger matches, but they
Mhm.
were with veterans.
Yep.
They were with people who got it. Even though Becky's a veteran. Like Charlotte is a veteran. Like they're veterans. Liv, same thing. Liv has had banger matches with people. It's just like that Lacey Evans match she had kind of felt weird. But Lacey's
Yeah.
also new to this too. So you learn how to adapt. So I feel like excuse me. If
Okay.
Liv is going the route that I think she's going, it'll be good for her. And Ronda needs to be pushed as a dominant heel and allow Shayna Baszler to kind of organically become face, and I hope they go that direction. Hopefully. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out Friday.
Okay.
Hopefully something Friday.
Hopefully. All right.
So what was next match? My brain
Drew
is like-
Drew versus
That's right,
Cross.
that's right.
I gave this. I actually gave this match 2 ratings because it was 8 out of 10 up until the last 5-10 minutes. Again, the ending of the match gave it dropped the score a lot.
Well, see, for me, kind of the other way around. The match felt fine until the ending, and I thought the ending brought it together. So prior to this, they did attempt the fireball gimmick at one point with Drew and Cross, where Scarlett threw a fireball. It completely missed him. Triple H very quickly realized
Yeah.
maybe we should stop doing the fireballs. Going the pepper spray route was brilliant. Fucking brilliant.
Oh no, that I'll agree
I
with.
think that's brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. Part of me feels like it might have been real pepper spray. I know Drew's crazy enough to go like, no, let's go with real pepper spray. I don't know if it was or not, but like, legit, he is crazy enough to do that because he is just like
Well, let's
Sheamus.
see. Cross was selling as if it was Corey and Cole were commenting. As
Well,
if
because
it
like when
was.
Scarlett threw it, it actually landed in Corey's lap.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was intentional, but like he had it. But I mean, obviously that's their job to sell it as it's real.
Right.
I thought the match was okay. It was these guys have better chemistry than what we saw in the match prior.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like strap matches they're kind of a hard gimmick to pull off because there's like short of going like ridiculous with them, there's kind of only so far you can go. I did like the whole I'm not putting the strap on right away, them brawling before the match officially started.
That was a nice touch. I like that. I appreciated that.
All in all, I still thought it was a good match. I still really enjoyed it. It was like
I
it was
was
just very much what I expected it to be, I guess.
Yeah,
and
to a
that's part of the
point.
problem.
I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10 until the ending, where I gave it a 6 out of 10. But I would like to see them actually do something with Scarlett. I know Scarlett can wrestle. I know Scarlett has the potential to be a good, not great, but a good wrestler.
I kind of,
Give
you know what? I've watched some of her indie stuff. She is good, but I wouldn't mind her just being the for lack of a better term, valet for Karrion Cross. I don't want her to get separated from him.
right.
I think she's a key integral into his character. Kel, my boy, what's going on? He says, "What's up, bro, chachos?"
Not much, Kel. Good seeing you.
I feel like she is at her best with him being that seductive siren or whatever Michael Cole calls her. I don't really want to see her like. To me, what hurt Sable back in the day was her getting into wrestling
Okay.
and getting away from what she was best at. She was this huge draw. Every now and then, if there's like a mixed tag or like some kind of like gimmick match with her where she's forced to, Karrion Cross lost a match to somebody and now she's forced to wrestle a match against somebody else. That I'm okay with, but like I don't want to see her go on any kind of run. I like her with. Sometimes it just these partnerships need to stick together and stay together. Because look what happened to Karrion Cross when he didn't have her on the main roster.
Agreed. Agreed. Agreed.
So I'm okay with her not going to full time wrestling. Plus, I don't think she wants to. In all honesty.
Another thing, she may not be able to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was looking at some of her Impact work and stuff like that, and there's a few times when she's selling, like I think it's her left knee injuries and stuff like that. Selling, it's a little too realistic for my pleasure.
Yeah, so who knows?
Um,
But yeah, that match it was what it was.
it
I
was.
enjoyed it. In the words of Simon Miller, I give it an up.
Mhm.
Like I can't really rate it, but like it gets an up, not a down. Like it very much. I enjoyed it. I had fun. It felt like a typical strap match until that ending.
Overall, 6 out of 10. One, nostalgia purposes, because we haven't seen a decent strap match in quite some time in any federation.
Well, I think we got a better strap match out of that Hell in a Cell with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in the part that they had to strap. But I think that's honestly how strap matches should go. I don't think strap matches should be the full match. I think what they did in the Hell in a Cell, where they brought out the strap because Dusty Rhodes has some very famous strap matches, use it and then tie the person up, and then like, oh, now we're locked up.
Right.
Part of the other problem is what we got out of Judgment Day match, and we'll get to that when we get to it. But
Right.
definitely agree with Jason. 6 out of 10. It was definitely the weakest of all the men's matches. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. If I had to like rank all the male matches, and yeah, it would be at the bottom.
Honestly, for me personally, it was the weakest match of the night besides Liv and Ronda.
Liv and Ronda definitely weakest match of the night.
So I'm going over my notes and I'm reading Ms. BS promo. BS standing for backstage, but I still think it's funny, because they were pretty BS.
Yeah, the stuff with the Glizzy or whatever the hell his name is.
I don't know. He's a Philly.
The Philly mascot. They were weird. They were weird. They were weird. My issues, and Kel and I actually were texting each other throughout the night on this.
Mm-hmm.
They got to do, and thank God, I even tweeted out during Raw. Something has to be done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I love a long drawn out story when it builds. This hasn't built. Now, thankfully, after I tweeted that, we are getting a match between Dexter Lumis and The Miz on SmackDown or Raw.
Raw, yeah.
Next week's Raw, and it's
if Miz loses, Dexter Lumis gets a contract.
And his balls.
Yeah.
His two massive gifts. Road Dogg's the best.
He really is. But anyways, next match was Bayley versus Belair.
Oh my God. Okay, this match.
You want to talk about moments where you're like,
If you had flipped this match to open and put the Donnybrook here. Remember I said Donnybrook may have been a good middle match?
Yes.
This would have been where you flip it.
Yes.
You put
That I can see.
those two matches could have flipped either way. And so that's why, like, by the time we got here and I saw this match, I was like, okay, now I get why the Donnybrook was first. What Bianca and Bayley did here, and this is what I'm talking about with chemistry. Bayley is obviously a veteran.
Yes.
One of the best. Bianca is new, but she
But-
is a diamond in the rough, and she is an anomaly. She has taken to this like a fish to water.
And in my opinion, she is the Brock Lesnar, female Brock Lesnar when it comes to being able to pick it up quickly.
What she has done and what they did with this match, it harkened back to the Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels ladder matches when ladder matches started. It wasn't... See, ladder matches, the problem with ladder matches, you get that law of diminishing returns, so they keep trying to up the spots. And you had like those famous TLC matches with the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and Hardy Boys, and having to up it. They harkened back to the classic ladder match.
Yep.
And they could do that because this was the first ever women's championship ladder match. And they worked it perfectly.
Yes.
Everything they did worked great. It just... Kudos to those two women for just killing it. And I loved every second of that match.
Agreed.
It was constructed so well. Nothing felt out of place. Nothing felt, like that spot, even when Damage Control showed up and that double KOD, you could see it was rough trying to get Io Sky on top. But the way those three women sold that was like Io, could tell she wasn't getting on. So she sold it like she was fighting. Dakota decided, oh, she's not getting on right away. I'm going to sell it like I'm fighting off. It wasn't just like the typical, hey, let's all stand outside a ring until he's ready to jump over the ropes. And we'll just stand there and huddle instead of fighting each other kind of thing. And it's the fact that everybody involved in this match nailed it. I was shocked at the finale. I did not expect Bianca to retain. But just so good. I'm happy she retained. I think she needs a long run. No, I want her to have a super long run.
And see, this is where we disagree because I honestly believe Bayley should have won and given Damage Control all the female gold.
But right away. Look how long it took for the Bloodline to get it. The Bloodline have been there. The Bloodline have been together. It took the Usos. Roman Reigns is currently at nearly 800 days as champion, right? The Usos are only at 300 something. That's a 500-day difference.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
There is over a year difference between them getting the tag titles and him getting the championship. I'm not saying Damage Control needs to wait a year, but
give him some time.
Yeah, I think because what we got out of Bayley afterward, this is going to make her more aggressive. She didn't need to come back and win right away because now it's like, okay, all right, now I'm going to be even more aggressive. Now I'm going to be even more of a heel. This is going to allow her to build Damage Control to be even more aggressive and dangerous. I want Damage Control to lose those titles to maybe a returning Sasha and Naomi or something, whatever, and then make them more aggressive and be like, okay, we thought we could just walk in and waltz over everybody. Now we know we're going to have to put our foot down. So to me, because like I said, at first I was like, yeah, they're going to put it on Bayley so the Damage Control has all the gold. That hurts Damage Control. I thought about it afterwards. Hurts Damage Control, giving them the gold too quickly. Now, look at how aggressive Bayley was against Candice LeRae on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, God,
Look at her. Look at that promo where she barely said anything, and she had that look on her face. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't laughing. She was very much, no, this will build them up as a much more... It'll put more emphasis on the damage than the control. So I completely agree with this. I did, like I said, at the very first I was like, whoa, that was unexpected. Yeah. I expected Bayley to win it, but no, I'm like, as I thought about it, I'm like, that was the smartest thing they could have done. Because what's the other problem you end up with that? The Bloodline have all the gold, right?
Right.
Now another heel faction has all the gold.
Almost, but yeah, but close enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like this now, because then you already have a heel Ronda Rousey as women's
Mhm.
champion. You have now Seth Rollins, a heel as United States champion. You have Gunther, a heel as Intercontinental champion.
Mhm. So Bianca's the only face with belt,
Champion. Yeah.
and that I
Again,
think,
her winning was much smarter than we thought.
and so my thing is, we saw Braun Breaker and Nikita Lyons in the crowd at this event. I have a feeling that Nikita Lyons and her tag team partner might be the ones to take the belts off of Sky and Kai.
I don't think so. They have a title match coming up on NXT, but also I saw something that said people were like, "Well, why were Braun Breaker and Nikita Lyons at Extreme Rules?"
They're gonna
And then
get
somebody
called up.
said, "Look for October 18th." What is October 18th? I don't know.
That's Halloween Havoc.
And that could be where we see them maybe move to the main roster. I don't think Nikita Lyons is ready for the main roster.
I I don't either. I think she needs. I have not heard a decent promo out of her yet. I have seen decent moves. I have seen decent matches. I have not heard a decent promo out of her yet, and I don't.
Her gimmick, literally, like she is so over because of like her gimmick and some of her moves, but I've not seen anything in a match or in a promo that says, yeah, she's ready to move up. I think all of it needs work. It's too quick to just pick her up and put her. Like honestly, I think Cora Jade is more ready for the main roster than Nikita Lyons is.
She's been ready for a while too, in my opinion.
I just think she's another one of those people who just gets it. Just gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So I we'll see what happens on Halloween Havoc. It could have just been because they're now acknowledging NXT and acknowledging the history of NXT and acknowledging the
Mm-hmm.
show NXT. So it could have just been a hey, let's bring a couple like super hot people from NXT, the people that crowd are behind, to help promote Halloween Havoc. That's all it
Right.
was.
It could have been. It could
I
have
don't
been
think there's
that.
anything more than that. Plus, like Nikita Lyons and Stark were supposed to be in that tournament. Um, so like the slight interaction with Bailey where she's just kind of like nodding at her, like yeah, that's all. Um, but yeah, again that ladder match
That was an 8 out of
absolutely
10.
insane.
8 out of 10 for me.
I It's got to be up there, the 5-star for me. It's just it was so good. I didn't have again no problems. I saw nothing wrong with it. I didn't have any issues with it. I didn't have a single moment that pulled me out of it.
I was a little worried about Bailey's left elbow. It looked like I got cut up pretty bad. But besides that, no, it was a beautiful match.
So after that we had
Edge Balor.
the Judgment Day's Finn Balor versus Edge. Believe it or not, phenomenal match. Longer than I expected, but had the storyline I expected to happen, but still, it was incredibly emotional. It was incredibly well done. Uh, Ever since Beth Phoenix left the NXT commentator booth, we just knew she was working towards an in-ring return. Ever since Judgment Day kicked out Edge, you knew that was going to be some kind of they're going to go to a mixed tag, Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley versus Edge and Beth. Uh, just all in all, again, I love this match. I thought Finn and Edge worked very well together. They actually went around the arena.
Mhm.
Had some cool spots, like the one where he threw him up into the upper balcony, like just that concrete thing.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they had gone, and I could see why they didn't because the crowd was. I don't know how they got there, but that crowd,
Yeah.
they were inside. Like where I was hoping for some like almost funny like mustard ketchup hot dog spots, like the stuff we get.
Or the shirt table
Yeah,
spots.
going into the merch, yeah, something like
Yep.
that. But like the fact that there was like 100 some people right at that entrance,
Yeah.
them turning around, I was like, yeah, I get it.
Um, my only issue with this match was the ref at the beginning. I think he was too overzealous with the asking and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing with the I Quit match. His only job is to do that. And the thing was, if you go back and watch it again, every time he went to do that, it was either Finn or Edge. Ask him, ask him. It wasn't like he was just doing it. So,
Right.
Kel says 8.5 for me on this match. Yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
there was so much to it. Again, for me, it wasn't the match itself. It was the storytelling in the match.
Yep.
Jay Knows Wrestling. Hey, hey, hey. How's it going, my man? Welcome to the show. Yeah, I felt like the storytelling in this match was phenomenal.
I think we got a chance to see a side of Finn that we haven't seen in a long time too. That devious, I'm willing to go that extra step heel.
Yeah. And somebody pointed out something after Raw that I thought was interesting. And I'm like, I hadn't thought about it yet. The Judgment Day is actually in 3 separate storylines. There's the Edge storyline.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Rey Mysterio storyline. And now there's the AJ Styles and the OC storyline.
Okay.
That's amazing.
It is. But that's what you can do with factions.
But that's something also has but it's not like, oh, Finn is in with Edge and Dominic is in a storyline with Rey and Priest is in a storyline with AJ and they just happen to be in a faction. No, the entire faction is in 3 separate storylines.
Yeah.
And that is something you just don't see. So I thought that was incredible. But yes, this match, again, very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
My worry going into this match, I'm like, Edge keeps doing these like hardcore matches, and I'm worried about his health. But I thought they did a really good job with it.
Yep.
I thought that if you really go back and watch it, there's not as much hardcore-ness to it that you would think in a I Quit match.
And most of the things that are really dangerous, Finn takes, like that roll down the stairs. The roll down the stairs. That was Finn took that.
Yeah. So that was a much smartly done way of doing it. So I really appreciated that. Definitely thought that match was very well done, and from a story aspect. And to me, the best wrestling is when you're truly telling a story. It doesn't have to be a spot fest. It doesn't have to be bloody and brutal all the time. Like again, the Donnybrook, phenomenal. The Sheamus matches lately, phenomenal. But there's still a story being told, and in this one, like it was pure story. So well done, so emotional, so constructed. We haven't seen a faction with this many storylines since NWO. True, but slightly different because the NWO was so large. It was they kind of didn't have a choice, and also it was this individual has a storyline, not the entire NWO having multiple storylines. It was individuals in NWO having storylines.
The NWO was so large, like quite literally, they had to separate them in 2, and then they had to have storylines with one side versus the other. That's how big the NWO was. They had their numbers were in the 50s.
Oh, they had more than that. Like they had half the roster,
if not more.
Point. They had half the roster at one point,
and overseas.
So,
but honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. When Rhea had that chair shot, and even though Edge said, "I quit, I'm done," I still in my head was like, "Do it, do it, do it."
Oh, I knew she was gonna do it. Yeah.
Emperor Palpatine, just do it.
It was obvious, but at the same time, it was still very emotional.
Edge's emotional selling for that were absolutely spot on.
Absolute best. And that led into
Edge Miz BS backstage promo with Loomis showing up, and then we got the Seth versus Riddle match.
Yep.
I'm glad to see Riddle win this match.
He had to.
He had to.
He had to. Um, and so this is where my prediction last week about Wyatt's return was right and wrong.
Yes.
I thought he was going to interfere in this match, or maybe at the end of the match. Like I told you, I thought Riddle was going to win,
Mm-hmm.
and then Wyatt was going to come out to start a feud with him. I think the way they did it was much smarter.
Mm-hmm.
Not having him attack anybody, but him coming out was great. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the fight pit. I thought the Timothy Thatcher, Matt Riddle fight pit was better.
Agreed. But then again, you've got two guys and Thatcher and Riddle who are beat down guys. They are that is their style. Where Seth is no longer a beat down guy, he is a finesse guy.
Yeah, but it was still a good match.
Oh no, it was a great match. I gave it a 7 out of 10. And the fact that unlike in the past where Seth wouldn't have had the bandages and stuff like that on Monday Night Raw, Seth actually came out with the bandages on and sold for Riddle. That was amazing. But I was surprised to see Cormier not get as involved as he did.
Yeah, I saw some people complaining about his involvement when he got into it, like where people he got pushed and he pulled both men aside, like, "Hey, you're not here to fight me, you're here to fight him," kind of thing.
And
I like that.
I
liked that. I thought that was great. I think a lot of people were thinking that it was going to lead. He was going to get more involved because it eventually would lead to him versus Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Now we know that's not going to happen. We know what's going to happen. It's going to be Lashley versus Lesnar, and we'll get to that when we talk about Raw.
Right.
But I actually appreciated him not getting involved. I liked it because this needed to end this feud. Like, this needed to be and we didn't need anything like, oh, well, maybe if Cormier didn't get involved, it wouldn't have ended, kind of thing. Because, like, we needed it to be a definitive ending.
Yeah.
And Seth tapping out to Riddle ends a feud, allows Riddle to go on, and allows Seth to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got a definitive ending to their story. I seriously thought that Riddle broke his tailbone on that Broton off the top.
Agreed.
The way he was selling it, I was like, oh, the way he landed, I'm like, oh, he broke his tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he went out and wrestled Sammy in a full-on match last night, I obviously didn't break it. I really thought that he had broken it, but he didn't. But I thought it was well done. It just,
what would have you done differently in that situation, in that match?
I
can see it on your face.
I just feel like they should have went back and watched the Timothy Thatcher Riddle one more.
Mm-hmm.
There was just more aggression, they didn't use the cage enough for me, I think.
Okay.
And it just felt like, I don't know, like there was something missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. I still enjoyed the match. I think maybe part of it was everybody's anticipation for what was to come.
That's my issue with it. It was the fact that everyone was like, okay, let's get over this match. Let's get it done with. Let's get it go. I want to see Bray.
Yeah, I kind of think that might have been part of it too.
But
there was definitely something missing from the match because because Seth and Riddle should have known that going into it, and should have done everything they could to make the crowd forget for a second that they were expecting something else and focus on them.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to Undertaker versus Batista at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were going to main event. They get stuck in the middle of the card. They both get pissed. They're like, all right, fine. We're going to steal the fucking show.
Yeah.
That's what should have happened.
Agreed.
They should have went out there to try to steal the show. And it felt like they just went ahead and went through the match they had planned instead of trying to up it a little bit. And that could have also been because Daniel Cormier was there. Like,
agreed.
Okay, well, we can't do but so much because he doesn't know this world enough to know when we're adapting on the fly. So that could have been it. Kel says he thought he broke it too. Yeah, I really thought he broke his tailbone. Like, I was like, oh, that's a shattered coccyx right there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, apparently not.
Okay.
But the way Matt Riddle, I give him so much credit for the way he sells. Every time he sells, I'm like, oh, he's actually injured. Like the
Yeah,
way he screams and yells and stuff, I'm like, oh, he's actually injured,
and I
but
think
he's
that
not.
comes right, but I also think that comes from his old MMA days and stuff like that. He knows what it feels to actually be hurt doing these moves and stuff like that because people were
Yeah, but
actually
you've
trying to
never
hurt
seen a
him.
guy scream like that in an MMA match, ever.
No, but that's where the WWE comes in. It's like, okay, here's the situation.
Yeah.
Let's go above and beyond.
I
Um,
would have liked. I just would have liked to see some stuff with maybe like an arm, like because where the ring posts were above them, there's a gap. It's like about this wide.
yeah,
Some kind of arm spot or something. Like shove an arm in there and like smash his face. Something. Just a little bit more.
yeah.
Um.
I mean, yeah. Let's do more cage work and stuff like that on the match and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I
Just a
was
little bit of.
not. I, I was very leery about not the platform itself, but the wall cages on the top and stuff like that. That's why I was kind of about that.
Well,
What
I
you're
I'm,
talking
I'm
about,
okay with them. I know they're well, and I know it's well constructed. I'm not worried about it. But like, yeah, it just felt like there was something slightly missing from it, and I
right?
think that what it was the fact that it didn't. The guys they went out there to give their best match, but they didn't go out there to steal the show.
Mm-hmm.
They think they should have both realized that okay, everybody's anticipating Bray Wyatt's return here. We need to make them distracted enough to where they're focused back on us, versus just everybody sitting there waiting for the match to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Something that WWE has done recently, and this is even before Vince McMahon left, but they have been very good about constructing these premium live events to not be like 9 hour ridiculous things.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a really good job of like we only had like what 6 matches?
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, six.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 matches, 3 backstage promos, and the Bray Wyatt stuff.
Yeah. So they did a really good job with that. Um, Denise says maybe some training like improv school, ballet, etc. Yeah, I think especially when it comes to a guy like Seth Rollins, he knows better. I don't know. I like I said, I think the main issue in this particular match was the addition of Daniel Cormier kind of last minute.
Yeah.
I think that threw them off enough that they were like, well, we can't do too much improv here because we can't adapt too much because he doesn't know this world enough to be able to adapt with us.
And I
So
know,
we,
I know,
I'm sure this match was walked through with him.
yeah, it had to have been. And I know there are rumors that Cormier wants in to pro wrestling,
He
which
did not look good though. Like I saw him, I'm like, he has not done anything since leaving fighting.
yeah, he's got a dad bod now. He does not have a
He's always
wrestler's
kind of had a
bod.
dad bod, but like he just looked. Which then again, vertical stripes not exactly the most flattering, but like
Yeah.
he just didn't look healthy. There's something that didn't look healthy,
His
and I'm not
cheek.
talking about his weight.
No,
It
no,
just
no. His
because, like I said, he's always like you watch him as a heavyweight. He wouldn't have a 6 pack. He never had a 6 pack.
no.
The guy was always just a dad bod kind of guy. But there was this. He seemed, I don't
To
know,
be,
like something like I don't know, something seemed off.
I
The
completely agree
second
with
the
you.
second he walked out, I was like, something's off.
Yeah, maybe that's another reason why they couldn't go because maybe there was something off with Cormier.
Maybe.
Anyways, but this leads us to the White Rabbit.
It leads us to the copyright and send off. Triple H did
Copyright.
that thing that he does, and he did this in NXT with
God,
Takeover.
love this man, and it was there for
You could
exactly.
hear the crowd, and I could hear every person watching. I could hear every person watching at home because I did it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are we getting nothing? The copyright WWE copyright 2022 comes up. Michael Cole and Corey Graves do a send off. I'm like,
yeah.
wait a minute. They're not going to show us anything.
2.5 seconds that copyright logo was on there.
And I'm like, are you
seconds.
kidding me? And then things start.
Mm-hmm.
And we get this nice, long, kind of drawn out, but in the best way possible.
Before we even get into this, I want to say how much I appreciate Michael Cole and Corey Graves now that they do not have Vince in their ear.
Yeah.
This to me right here. I mean, the acting, the performing, the speaking, the absolute everything that those two did to make this feel even that much more that it was.
One thing I want to point out about that, on that same point, Michael Cole, now that the reins are off, he has been able to just really go full throttle. Him like yelling for Dominic, like somebody needs to slap this boy, like almost getting personal about it because it's his friend Rey Mysterio's kid who's turned on him and attacking him. Like I love that. And then they're like, "Are we still on the air? Like, are we still on? Like, what's going on?" Like that was great.
I mean, you could hear Graves had his headphones off and what was replying to Cole.
Yeah, they did that very well. Denise says, "I miss old school wrestling. Bonesaw's ready." Yeah, Bonesaw is ready. Yeah. But we kind of got that with this. It was very much playing up the whole "this is real. We don't know what's going on," and then he's got that melodic melancholy. He's got the whole world in his hands. Starts to play, almost like a slowed down version of it. There's a spotlight we get. First we got the buzzard.
Yeah, Mercy.
Yeah, Mercy the buzzard first. Then we got the White Rabbit.
No,
right?
Yeah.
No,
It was
Huskus was first.
Huskus was first, then it was Mercy, then it was
Mercy,
Rabbit.
Then it was Rambling Rabbit, then it was Sister Abigail, then it was the burnt fiend mask on the commentary table.
Yes, you're correct.
And that's where Corey Graves and Michael Cole had their last moment of like, what the hell is that? And then there was the fiend himself, and then the door.
Yep.
And the door shined a blue light. A lot of people believe it might have been an homage to Brody Lee, aka John Hopper. When he became he showed up in AEW, that kind of thing. I agree with that.
Did you see the other tribute to Brody Lee?
No.
Sister Abigail underneath the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The mask. That was from the Bludgeon,
mask.
The Bludgeon Brothers mask.
Yeah. We then get a shot of the Firefly Funhouse, but it's completely full of cobwebs and
oh my god, that was
dust and everything. As if it had been sitting empty for a year.
Yep.
As it has been.
And the soundtrack all warped and distorted.
Yeah. And then we get the TV turns on. Kel says it reminded me a bit of Kane's debut. Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Kind of honestly reminded me of the Undertaker's debut. Like just a modern version of it. But
yeah.
So the TV talks, and the one bad part of the whole thing was that his voice was too modulated.
Yeah.
They actually fixed that modulation when they replayed it on Monday night.
Yeah.
Because you could barely understand what he was saying, but he was saying like, who let the world die? You did. And he said, who let the world die? We did. Revel in who you are. And he showed it was the new mask he's got. Door opens. You see the lantern.
The old lantern.
Yeah. He walks out with the new mask on, pulls the mask off. Of course, it's Bray Wyatt. Sure enough, the place explodes.
To the point where
so much so.
Yep.
Microphones cut out.
Yes.
The microphones couldn't handle the pop.
Yes.
So a lot of people thought that the pop was, he didn't get a good pop. He didn't get a good pop. No. Listen to anybody that was there. It was deafening and at a level that the microphones cut out. Pulls the mask off, says, I'm here, blows it out, and we get their traditional Wyatt family sound with that new upside down moth logo. That's how Extreme Rules ends.
Yep.
And like, my God, it's just as we had predicted before. It seems like a perfect amalgamation of all his previous characters evolving into something new. He has changed after getting fired, he changed his TikTok or his Twitter name to Wyatt6.
Was it Wyatt or Wyndham?
Wyatt. I think it was Wyndham for a bit, and then it went to Wyatt6.
Okay.
I think he did Wyndham for a little bit. It might have been even Wyndham 6. But I think his plan was no matter where he went, he was going to be doing what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Then it went to Wyatt6. I was not sure if this was going to be a one-off, seeing the Firefly Funhouse come to life. But the more I've seen people talk about it, the more I've seen with stuff. Um, what do you think of the women's tag belts next to Sister Abigail? I don't think they were tag belts.
I don't think those were supposed to
I
be.
think they were Raw and SmackDown championships.
Yeah, I think that's what those are too.
Female Raw and SmackDown championships, which, if it is Alexa Bliss, has held both.
Yep.
And she did tweet out in response to WWE posting the reveal, "Welcome back, my old friend." However, I still think it's going to be Liv Morgan. But it could be Alexa, but I don't kind of want to see it be Alexa. I think Alexa's too good. She needs to be on her own. She needs to be doing her thing again. 5 Feet of Fury, the goddess. I think that's she's at her best. But I think Liv Morgan in this role would be amazing. But it seems that the Wyatt Six is going to be a group. Joe Gacy is most likely going to be one of them.
Huskus.
Grayson Waller. I think a lot of people were
Mercy.
saying, like I saw people say that it was either Huskus or he was the Fiend. But
No,
I think the eyes I saw in Huskus felt like Gacy's eyes.
Yeah, Huskus to me was Gacy. Grayson
Waller
Waller was
as Mercy, which I get that as well, because they did recently, like he about 6 months ago started wearing those Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
Maybe not even 6 months. It felt like it was a one-off thing when he did it at first, because he didn't do it all the time, and all of a sudden Triple H takes over, and all of a sudden he's doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's going to be Mercy. There's of course the rumor that Bo Dallas is back.
I could see Bo as Rabbit.
Yeah.
My questions are Fiend and Abby. Those are the only two I really don't know. And I'm hoping, and I agree with you. Yes, Alexa needs to be back to the 5 foot of Dynamite goddess, because this, I appreciate the darkness that it brought to Alexa Bliss. But let's have that something she can pull on and bring to the forefront when she needs to, not that is her whole character. Liv, on the other hand, needs and has needed for quite some time something to make her vicious. And we saw it with leading up to the Ronda Liv match here at Extreme Rules, that vicious streak really wasn't there.
Yeah. So I think, again, Sister Abigail is either going to be Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan pretty much at this point. I don't know who that last person is. Just don't know.
I don't either. I mean, I haven't been watching NXT very often either. Like, it's on right now. And
yeah. Hi. No, I regardless, I thought it was great. We got a little bit of a tease during Raw.
Yeah.
About it. And apparently the big reveal supposedly Friday?
SmackDown. Yep, SmackDown.
Which it makes sense to put them on SmackDown. You've got Judgment Day on, and now the AJ Styles and the OC on Raw.
But you've got the Bloodline on SmackDown, which means
they're on both. They're on both. First off, but Bloodline is a pure heel group, right?
Yeah, right.
Wyatt's never a pure heel.
No, never has.
He's not an in-betweener. He's just his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't bash the crowd. Like, yeah, I know that Roman Reigns is like, acknowledge me, but he's doing that. He's subjugating the crowd.
Yes.
Wyatt, I mean, he's kind of subjugating the crowd as his cult following, but he loves the crowd. They're his fireflies.
Yep.
They're his cult.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be so over, there's no way this guy doesn't get cheered.
Heel, face, doesn't matter. Yeah, you're
So
absolutely
he
correct.
won't be a heel, he won't be a face, he won't even be a tweener, he'll just be.
Yep.
It won't be like Stone Cold, who was just an anti-hero. He'll just be.
Yep.
There won't be a definition for what he is. So the Wyatt Six going after the Bloodline makes sense.
It does.
Because the Bloodline has gotten to a point where they are so dominant, and also how many members are there?
Let's see. We got Jay, Jimmy, Sammy, Solo, and Roman.
The Wyatt
Bray,
6 has one female,
yeah. So we got Bray,
5 males.
Mercy, Huskus, uh, Ramblin' Rabbit, and Bray, Mercy, Ramblin' Rabbit, Huskus, and the Fiend. So that's 5-on-5. That's your
Yeah.
Survivor Series. That's your Survivor Series main event.
So there's your war games.
Yeah. Ooh. Mm. But are they going to introduce the characters fast enough to be able to do war games?
So we've got a month and a half.
Minus the time period that Roman's going to be dealing with Logan Paul.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to, like, it's at Crown Jewel. He'll smash him and come back. And again, look at what they're doing with Judgment Day. They're running multiple storylines. Why can't the
True.
Bloodline?
True.
And so that's my prediction. Because it also allows the Wyatt Six to go over without Roman and the Usos losing championship. And I think one of the things that we need to realize is that Wyatt and his group don't need titles. They're not going to need them.
Yeah, I don't think they should have a title as long as
I don't think they should even talk about them. Like they should. No. It's like we don't need titles to take over. We don't need any of that. I do think that it should be Cody Rhodes to finally beat Roman.
Agreed.
The only downside of that is that if they want to do that Rock versus Roman match, but at WrestleMania if Rock's available, but you can either resplit the championships, because I know USA is very much like, hey, we want a championship on our fucking team.
Yeah.
Or Cody can win the Rumble, go to challenge Roman, maybe do it early at Money in the Bank or something and win, which I really agree with that. But Roman doesn't need a title to face to The Rock, is what I'm saying.
I think it would work better if he didn't have a title. Because that would be
it's literally for the head of the table.
Right. I mean, if Roman had a title, then it almost guarantees that Rock's going to lose, because Rock's a
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I agree. If there's no title in line, which still I think that Rock should lose, but you take out the 100%.
Yeah.
You allow doubt to be involved. But I also think that Rock would put Roman over to help push him. Yeah, so I feel like I don't exactly know how to book that with Cody and everything. Well, unless
first of all, Austin Theory needs to not cash in.
Yeah, that's the other problem. The Money in the Bank.
He doesn't cash in. As in, it's not that he doesn't attempt, he just runs out of time. Let him hold it this entire year. Let him be because as much as I hate to agree with Vince on this one, if you've got the briefcase, you're kind of bulletproof. You can lose and lose and lose and lose and lose.
I want to see Theory show up at Crown Jewel and try to cash in and fail again. I want to see him keep failing at cashing in.
Yeah.
Every championship match, fail at cashing in.
Yep.
I want to see him try to cash in at War Games. Everybody's all beat up. He tries to cash in, but then the bloodline, somebody gets up and gets involved. Kel says, I do not want to see Rock versus Roman match. It makes no sense. I think it makes perfect sense.
I do too.
In the fact that as a head of the table, head of the family match, if you bring The Rock back at the right time, say the Royal Rumble or just after Royal Rumble, to start it off, and you have him step up and be like, look, you are not the head of the table. You are not the head of the family. I am. Or even like, I know what's best for the family because it's not about my ego. It's about what's best for family. You claim it's about family, but it's really all about you. And they've already sowed the seeds of proof of that with the Sammy and Jimmy stuff, because Jimmy's like, he's not family, he's not blood, and Roman's like, no, I like him. You now answer to him because I'm tired of dealing with you. The fact that they keep getting in each other's faces, like they're sowing this thing about a dissension in the family, bringing the Rock in to help end that. The bloodline's only going to go so far. Again, you've already got Roman at 800 days. He's going to probably hit 3 years, close to 3 years with the championship before he loses it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you want to keep the bloodline together, they got to go down eventually and then come back up.
Mm-hmm.
So it also, if you do knock them down by, say, having them lose their championships, and then Roman's coming in and saying, look, you are not representing our family. You're representing yourself. I represent the family. Him beating The Rock re-cements himself as the head of the table, and from there he can build back up to go back after the championship.
Whether it be as a heel or a face, that all depends on how things go at the Rock Roman match.
Well, I think Roman's really enjoying being who he is. And so I don't think the character will change. The fact is, they're kind of faces now in just the fact that everybody loves them. More people acknowledge them than not. Sami Zayn is so over. Now, when they turn on Sami, and they will turn on Sami, this is what they're building to, they are going to get so much heel heat. But this is where The Rock comes in. Like, this is what I mean. Sweet Dollface, welcome to the show. Absolutely. Like, they turn on Sami. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens makes the save. Sami and Kevin go after the Usos for the titles. Roman loses to Cody. Proof that they're not actually about family and it's all about Roman.
I think just to switch your timeline, I think Cody, before the break apart, Cody wins first. Cody takes the belt first. Or a belt, not both, but one of them at least.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. You can keep the Universal title on Roman.
Mm-hmm.
And put the WWE title, because that's all Cody's asked about.
Yep.
That's the one that matters to him.
Mm-hmm. The one his dad never got.
Yeah, so he could, like, they could. There's plenty of ways to go with it. There's plenty of ways to make the Rock thing make sense. Obviously, the Rock is a draw. If you're telling me that WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood is headlined by Roman versus Rock, it will have the biggest buy rate of any WrestleMania, period. It just will. So I get it. But at the same time, The Rock's an incredibly busy person.
Yeah.
And in Hollywood, they have insurance things that won't allow people to do certain things. So maybe it doesn't happen. But then again, Cody versus Roman to headline WrestleMania after Royal Rumble and have him win also set up a huge buy rate.
Yep.
In other words, their future is nice and set, regardless of how they do it. Dell says, I hate Sami. I love Sami Zayn. I hate the character, but I'm supposed to.
Yep.
And I'm starting to love the character again.
Mm-hmm.
He's dropped the conspiracy theory crap, just trying to be. And actually, Jimmy's the one doing the conspiracy shit now, but kind of. But like, he's dropped the conspiracy stuff. He is more just about, I'm part of the bloodline. I want to help out. But he is so over organically again. He is one of the best workers in the ring. He is so good. And he is such a psychological storyteller. He is phenomenal. His match, the triple threat ladder match for the Intercontinental title unification between him, AJ Styles, and Hardy was a thing of beauty. And that was all on him. I think Sami is phenomenal. Team him back with Kevin Owens. Still have Gargano there, possibly Ciampa. I don't know what he's doing. Although some have rumored that maybe he's part of the Wyatt Six.
There's a rumor that he actually is the Fiend.
Maybe, I don't know. But also, like, They could win the titles. Obviously, if Sammy's kicked out of the bloodline, it's now a 4-man group and not a 5-man group. Bring back DIY along with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It's 4-on-4.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano, Panda Express deal that they set up in the Indies. Like, so there's a connection all around. There's a connection all around.
Panda Express. They never actually wrestled a match as Panda Express.
No, but they actually have a shirt. They have a couple
Yes.
shirts and everything. Like, they have a whole thing. They built this whole thing. So there's a lot that could be done coming in the future.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to Raw last night, we got another big return
Ooh.
in Brock Lesnar. We also got another huge return in the Good Brothers coming back to WWE. Here's what's important about that.
I called it.
Here's what's important about that. Carl Anderson is still the neverweight champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
He didn't lose it?
No. New Japan retweeted WWE's The Good Brothers Are Back tweet. Triple H is making moves, man. And if we could get a Forbidden Door, like the fact that the Forbidden Door is being talked about again, but now it's talked about New Japan and WWE. Also, I know the Good Brothers are booked through January 2023 in New Japan.
Yeah.
Triple H is going to let them fulfill that contract. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah.
This is huge.
Could we see a New Japan WWE AEW triple threat match at a Forbidden Door?
Yeah, because Tony Khan, I feel like, is going to be bitter now with both WWE and New Japan on this. Thinks that once again WWE is stepping on his toes, and I think he's going to end the deal with New Japan. I think he's going to end up closing the door himself. I think he's going to, because unfortunately, for lack of a better term, Tony is nothing more than a petulant child. He's an entitled rich kid who, if he doesn't get his way, throws a fit.
Right. And we've talked about this before, that he is a mark that has the money to put on he's got his action figures and he's making his dream matches for him.
But now that somebody else is playing with his toys, he's going to take his ball and go home. I feel like this is going to hurt AEW if he gets that way. Now, if he doesn't, if he gets out of his own way, maybe listens to some other people around the area, we could eventually get some kind of like triple threat Forbidden Door kind of thing. But now that New Japan is open to working with WWE, and Triple H is not, because the deal was like they were trying to lock down New Japan, like, hey, we want to work with you, but you can only work with us. I don't think Triple H is going to lock them down.
No.
Of course, you know, he is going to be like, yeah, you can work with them. That's fine, as long as you're also working with us.
Right. I think, and the thing is that all originates from when Daniel Bryan was trying to negotiate for a contract with the WWE.
Yeah, because he wanted to also work New Japan dates.
Right.
They tried to do it the WWE way of, well, let's lock New Japan down as they only work with us. Obviously, that wasn't done this time around. But the fact that the current Neverweight Open Championship holder is in WWE, which I'm sure he'll lose it when he has the match. But, like, I want to see if they let him carry it out.
That's my thing.
Similar to like they did with Mickey. They allowed Mickey James to wear the knockout title at the Royal Rumble,
which was amazing.
I was there. It was incredible.
That pop.
Does WWE allow Carl Anderson to wear that title out? I would.
I would too.
The fact that we've already got so much, Michael Cole's been allowed to talk about PWG and the Indies and all these other promotions. They've worked New Japan. They've already talked about Japan in multiple times. The fact that we're able to talk about it.
Yeah.
They let him wear the belt out, at least until he loses it. I believe he has a match. It's January of 2023. So
I'm going to say something, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I want Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, to be removed from the equation. I want he has been a toxic trait, and things have gone downhill since he's been in AEW.
Yeah, I've always stood on that pedestal of the fact that my soapbox has been I know Phil. I've worked with
You
Phil on the
right.
indies
You
years
worked with him.
ago, long before he ever got a WWE contract. The dude had an ego larger than the universe, and he can be a
You
cancer to a locker room. That being said, I don't know what they're doing, and I'm not even going to speculate anymore on that consideration. The fact that you can still get CM Punk merchandise at every event, but you can't get Young Bucks or Kenny Omega merchandise is, I think, bullshit. Um, the fact that Andrade got sent home, but not Sammy Guevara is bullshit. The fact that Tony Khan truly plays favorites. Anybody who wants to say, oh, well, the first story that came out the TMZ was Andrade's side, and then the truth came out, and it turned out he started the fight. No, that's Sammy's side.
that Sammy side.
There are two sides to every story. In the middle is the truth. Almost the same way that Vince worked with ECW in the 90s. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Work with New Japan, but allow them to continue doing what they're doing and working with other people.
Mm-hmm. And I think as soon as CM Punk is removed from the equation at AEW, calmer heads, aka Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, will be able to go, look, this is what's best for business. Why don't we try doing this?
I don't know if they're calmer heads, to be honest, because I think that they are not. I don't. I think they need to be removed as executive vice presidents if they're going to be workers. I don't think the player coach works in wrestling.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't think the player coach works in wrestling. So either be EVPs or be wrestlers. That's what Cody Rhodes talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. But if they step away from being EVPs, that puts it all on Tony's shoulders, and that's just as bad.
I think that's worse.
Because Tony's own ego won't allow him to have to pull in help. The fact that the producers who were trying to break up that fight also got suspended blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, that confused me too.
So, again, going back to what you originally asked, could we see a triple threat, Forbidden Door kind of thing with the three companies? I doubt it, and I put that solely on Tony Khan. I think Triple H would actually do it, but
we never say never though.
No, you never say never in this business. But I just don't. I doubt it.
Right.
Getting back to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we had the Good Brothers come back. We had this amazing work with the Bloodline again, furthering that story.
Mm-hmm.
We had good matches, and we had the return of Brock Lesnar. So it was kind of weird, like obviously Seth Rollins is injured from the fight pit.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a fair fight to go against Bobby Lashley. But then Bobby Lashley cuts a promo talking about all the people he's beat, including Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar comes out to a complete surprise. Because, by the way, all the dirt sheets said that, yeah, he was going to have a match with Lashley, but he wasn't going to be at Raw, and they were just going to, fill it without him being there.
Sean Ross Sapp even said that in his report.
But Brock sure enough, he was there.
Complete surprise.
And he comes out and says, hello, Brooklyn. Hey there, Bobby Lashley. And then just beats the ever-loving shit out of him. Shelton Benjamin actually had a wonderful tweet. He's like, this crowd popped hard for Bobby Lashley and were cheering for him. And then 5 seconds later are calling for one more F5 from Brock Lesnar to destroy Bobby Lashley. He's like, you damn fans.
What is the truth?
But yeah, they're just bloodthirsty, but I get it. So, of course, now he also locked on Nakamura for a long time. So now it's a more even fight. Seth Rollins. He's not, the doctors are telling Bobby not to compete. But, of course, Seth then questions his manhood and his veteran stat. Like, are you really a soldier? Do you really care about this country? Blah, blah, blah. Which, obviously, I took personally as a veteran myself. But, obviously, it was enough to get him back in the ring. They have a match, which went longer than I thought it was going to go.
Oh, yeah.
So kudos to both of them. But Seth Rollins is your new United States champion. His first title reign in a very long time. I forgot the exact time on it, but very long time.
Yeah,
Uh,
he hasn't held a belt. I mean, that's something that Riddle brought up on their thing is he hasn't had a belt in a really long time. So Lashley, honestly, the Lashley match with Seth, agreed, it went very long, and they both were able to not only put on a very physical match, but show that they were hurt well. Um,
yeah,
right?
it not
Well,
um yeah, no, it's very interesting that they went that route, but it makes sense. And I mean, I'm happy to see like that's great. Like Seth, he's had this incredible year, but he's also lost a lot. 3 matches to Cody, lost the fight pit.
mm-hmm.
Like,
What has
you
he
know,
done to prove that he's worthy of actually getting a shot? Period.
just being Seth Rollins.
Right.
The fact that he is as good as he is.
But you see what I'm saying, though. Like if it was anybody else out there, it would have been okay. You've lost these many matches. You've done this much losing. What gives you the right to say that you want a title shot? You know.
Well, he did earn a title shot. He earned his first one. Riddle interfered in it, so he didn't earn it. He asked for it, but like Bobby Lashley agreed. But the fact that Riddle interfered is why he got a second one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, I think he's proven himself. Even with losses, he's proven himself very much worthy of a title shot.
He's a hell of a worker. He can lift or put down anybody in a match.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely proved himself. Like he technically won against Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing ever came of it. So he's absolutely worthy of a United States title shot. He should be
And
in line to get a Universal title shot because again, he won against Roman Reigns. He's the only person to technically beat Roman Reigns in a singles match since he's been back.
and now that we have this
He's the only
new,
singles loss on Roman Reigns' record since his return.
yeah, and now
So
that we have
that alone is worthy of any title shot he wants.
true. But as I was trying to say, now that we have the Rob Fee guy in, who's his entire job is to make sure that things stay in storyline continuity and something like that. I got a feeling that's getting ready to come up. That one loss.
I'm sure it will eventually. Seth has Rollins hasn't let it go.
No,
He's brought it up multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that'll keep coming up, but like Rollins could also use it as a way to get at Cody Rhodes. Like, yes, you beat me 3 times, but besides you, I'm the only person to have a win over Roman Reigns as a solo competitor since his return.
Yep.
And I never got my rematch. I never got my title match again because I won. So I should have got another one. So that's how you bring that back. There's a lot that can be done, but I thought Raw was fun. Um, again, we got more. They replayed the Bray Wyatt thing, and then we got more of it. Revel in who you are, all that stuff. And they teased that SmackDown. We're gonna, I guess, I don't know if we're gonna hear from Bray Wyatt or just get another video promo. I don't know what we're gonna get, but that's the thing. Crazy.
What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for like an actual in live promo.
In the ring, just Bray or the Wyatt
Oh, I think
Six?
for now just Bray.
Mm-hmm. Giving him time period to explain
Yeah,
the Wyatt Six and all that.
Yeah. There's no need to introduce them right away.
I just don't want to see the Wyatt Six do and go the way of the original concept for oh god, what was it? Mace,
Yeah, the Retribution.
Retribution. Thank you. I
It
don't
won't.
want to see.
It won't. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about that at all.
I'm still burnt from Vince. I'm
Yeah,
still.
they're not
burnt
going
from
to do
Vince
that.
McMahon.
The fact that they actually have somebody in charge of long-term storytelling. The fact that they created this position. That position didn't exist. They understand. They get it. Triple H gets storytelling. He may not be batting 1,000, but he's batting at least 800. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see him just come out because I want to know more about how the character is going to go. How is he going to play the character? Because there was the Wyatt family version, there was the Eater of Worlds version, there was the Mr. Rogers Firefly Funhouse version, and then there was the Fiend version.
And Melted Fiend.
How are we going to play it now? So I would like him to come out and just show some of what this character is going to be. How the promos are going to be, how he's going to talk, what direction are they going to kind of just some seeds, just plant some seeds. But I would rather it be in person than a video promo. But we'll see. We'll see.
Is it just me, or does that new mask he wears very Guy Fawkes looking?
I mean,
I'm not saying it is
maybe.
exactly.
It feels to me. It almost felt to me like a Spartan mask. If that was the first thing that popped in my head, was a Spartan gladiator mask.
Interesting.
I
can see
it actually looks a lot like the mask that Russell Crowe wore in Gladiator. Just a full mask with a smile versus the mouth being open. Like if you put a mouth on it, or it's not a smile, it's more like gritted teeth. But
yeah,
the shapes and angles of it, if like that was the first thing that popped in my head. But yeah, kind of Guy Fawkes as well. But it's obviously a drastic change from the Fiend. It's also a drastic change from the Wyatt family, because that was all animal stuff.
Yeah.
So again, I need to know where. I want to know, at least plant some seeds for where this is going to go. Is he coming in? Is it again cult like? Is it? I mean, I think that no matter what, it's going to be kind of cult like. But there's so many possibilities come SmackDown. I like how the commentators on Raw talked about it almost out of character.
Yeah.
Like it was this goosebumps moment, where were you when moment. I appreciate that. That they get to kind of act like fans.
Michael Cole going, "Are we still in the air?"
No, I'm talking about on Raw.
On Raw?
When they were looking back at it. Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves.
Oh, yeah.
And that where were you moment. They literally said that, like it was a where were you moment. I still have goosebumps. I've watched it multiple times over the weekend. That kind of stuff. I appreciate that.
Right.
And also, by the way, I think that Kevin Patrick did a fantastic job on commentary. You can still, there was obviously some nerves with him doing a whole show and doing a 3-hour show. That's one of the things that's weird to me. They keep putting the new commentators on Raw.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Like, why don't you just go ahead and give them NXT, then send them up to SmackDown, then give them to Raw?
But I think he did a great job. I think he'll do a great job.
Once he gets more comfortable being on the camera, yeah, he'll do great.
I saw somewhere where Wyatt's new mask was made by the same person that made the Ethan Hawke's mask from Black Phone. Yes. That's where I saw it from.
Yes.
It looks a lot like the Black Phone mask.
It's the same guy who's made all of Bray Wyatt's mask.
Yeah, John Baker, I think is his name.
Hold
on.
Yeah, Baker. He has designed and worked on all of Bray's masks and the lantern. Like the Fiend mask is very reminiscent of the DC 52 Joker.
Yeah, it was kind of like the face cut off and reattached kind of thing.
I still, every time I look at the new mask, I'm still seeing more and more Guy Fawkes than I am anything
I'm gonna
else.
look this up real quick.
Yeah, it's got that whole very wide teeth look to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Now that I'm looking at it, Jason Baker, that's who it is.
Jason Baker, yeah, I knew it was Baker, but but it's the same. All of Bray's masks have been made by the same guy.
He did
They
all
are,
the Wyatt Six costumes. He's
yep.
always done all that stuff. He created the puppets as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, looking at it again, yeah, we look up the black phone mask as well. Black phone. Yeah, it's very similar. See, that's actually a grin though. Got a grin,
It
and there's
is,
actual horns on it too.
yes.
Honestly, because I see somebody has basically put it in two parts. The top part looks like a daredevil mask with elongated horns, and the bottom part looks like a Joker mask. The break apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. The reason it broke apart is because it was actually three different mouths. There was a frowning mouth, grinning mouth, which relates to the comedy and tragedy mask,
Mm-hmm.
and one with no mouth at all, just a blank thing. That's pretty cool. I need to watch that movie again.
Which one?
Good. A Black Phone. It's very good.
I haven't had a chance to see it.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, it does like that. Yeah, I mean, good call, Kel.
And
It's
like I
kind of
said,
like if you took that Spartan Gladiator mask and
yep.
mixed it with the Black Phone mask,
Mm-hmm.
what you have.
And you got to throw some Guy Fawkes in there too,
Yeah.
because I mean, you looking at it right now, it still looks very Guy Fawkes. Just a big old grin, shit-eating grin on it.
Yeah, definitely some. Well, V for Vendetta if he was evil. So, but
I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. I want to make sure that
okay. So now I'm looking again. Now this also depends on if they actually had the actual woman in the costume that night or if it's not. I'm looking at the picture of the other five, and I could see Joe Gacy being Husky Harris with the size. I could see Grayson Waller with the size of Mercy.
mhm,
Bo Dallas is not any of the others. They're not tall enough. But the woman being as tall as she is, it can't be Alexis and it can't be Liv Morgan.
mhm.
Because she's at least 5'6", maybe 5'8".
I thought she was bigger than that.
This model or whoever's in this mask. Whereas Alexa Bliss is 5 foot.
Right.
Liv Morgan's what, 5'2"?
No, I think she's bigger than that.
I don't think so.
Making me look stuff up. But no, looking at like Huskus
5'3".
5'3". Okay. I thought she was taller than that.
And Alexa is 5 foot.
Right. I mean, looking at the picture where we've got Huskus
Well, she's
and
technically
having
5'1", but I'm looking at this, and the fact that she's as tall as Husky and the Fiend and the Rabbit, she's well over 5'5".
right,
She's 5'6" to 5'8", easy.
then
So it could just be a stand-in.
could be.
I don't know.
But
But I also know that Bo Dallas is nearly 6 feet tall.
right.
So now, again, if the rest of these people are about 6 feet tall, that makes the woman actually even taller. Because again, she's the same height as everybody else except for Mercy. Mercy's the taller one. Grayson Waller is tall. He's like 6'4", 6'5".
Right. I mean, even with perspective, you know, yeah, the Fiend
Well,
is
they're
like
literally lined up together.
well, yeah,
There's no
kind of.
perspective thing here. There's really
Well,
no perspective. They're all lined up together except for the rabbit is slightly in the front.
right.
But seeing where the eyeballs are and everything, the rabbit is actually the smallest of the males.
If
So
if they're going with, you know, just because it's Abby, because remember, Bray did do the Abby thing. As much as I hate to want to forget about that,
I don't think they're going to go that route again.
no, but I'm looking at Ramblin' Rabbit, and that could be a female. That could be Liv right there.
I don't think so. It's not. It's still not tall. It's still not short enough. There should be a significant difference between whoever she is and the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because it's a minimum of 5 inches. It should be noticeable, not an inch or two difference.
Okay. I looking in more and more of this picture, I honestly thinking that these are mostly stand-ins. They've got to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
But I'm looking at the Husky Harris mat. Not the pig.
I mean, they could have had like Joe Gacy could have been available, but like I think that if nothing, the only one that may be a stand-in is the Sister Abigail one.
Yeah.
The rest could all be who they're supposed to be. I don't know.
Because if you look at the pig mask and you look at Gacy, it has a lot of similarities.
The eyes are exactly the same.
Yeah. And Mercy the Buzzard, and
Yeah, Joe Gacy is 6 foot.
Yeah.
The fact that Sister Abigail is basically the same height as Husky Harris there. But they could all be stand-ins, and we could be we could be overanalyzing it too. This week they could for Extreme Rules it could have just been stand-ins.
Yep. But that's one of the great things about this thing is we can do that.
Grayson Waller is 6'3", so he's not quite as tall as I thought he was, but that also makes more sense with that particular size of the Buzzard.
Yep.
How tall is Bo Dallas?
6'1".
No way. Unless he's the Fiend. Then it makes sense. If he's the Fiend. So, now wait. Tommaso Ciampa is 5'11".
6'3", 6'1". Tomas is 5'1", 5'11".
5'11".
I don't know.
Rambling Rabbit could be Tommaso Ciampa.
Could be.
But again, that makes the woman nearly 6 feet tall.
Still.
So the stand-in could be... It could be a stand-in until they actually... Because they had to have Liv
there
backstage do that stuff and all that other stuff. So, yeah. That could be a stand-in for now. I
mean, if we remember,
or it could be somebody. It could be somebody completely different, and we have no idea.
Oh yeah, true. Because
and also the fact that they have that mask, it could be a male.
It could be. That's what I was saying. I mean, it's back to the beginning of all this. Back at the beginning of all this stuff, Paige was originally supposed to be the first Sister Abigail. That fell through because another female thought she was going to be smart and copyright the Sister Abigail and all that stuff, so she would get the character. That's why Paige it never happened for Paige. This is what I love about wrestling: being able to go look and here's a story. How is it going to affect us? What can we glean from these little things, And Bray is just a magician when it comes to these stories.
Yeah, he is. So, as we sign off here in our last minute, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Go ahead and comment your thoughts on the Bray Wyatt situation, either here, TikTok, wherever you see this. Anything you've got, let us know your thoughts. Hopefully next week we'll have so much more to talk about. Come SmackDown, come Dynamite, come Rampage, come everything else. We'll see what happens in the world of wrestling. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. Thank you for tuning in to the PWC. Thank you for tuning in to TGN Networks. And we will see you all very soon.